Well, good morning, everybody. This is DearMamaSal without a coat. I mean, I do have my raincoat next to me, but I mean, what is wrong with me? I sort of, I keep sort of looking out of the window and seeing sunshine, and of course, that's such a delightful sight. I forget that it can still be pretty cold. It's like 2 degrees. It's 2 degrees Canadian, and of course, for those of you who love the competition, did you get 36? If you did, you won today. So, it's really quite funny because I get outside the door and I go, oh, it may be sunshine, but it's cold sunshine. Maybe I should be wearing a little bit more than I am. Now, I know intelligent people, and you know I'm not one of them. I know intelligent people actually listen to the local weather forecast as they put their makeup on in the morning. Yeah. Sorry for the noise, that's the coffee cup going. Anyway, I know that there are people who listen to the local weather forecast. Or at least look it up, right, online. I like the surprises, I think. I must do. Otherwise, I wouldn't keep doing it, right? But it is a wonderful day. Absolutely wonderful. I could handle winter like this. Bright, chilly, but wonderful. So, I was thinking this morning, and which is always a problem in the morning for me, but I was thinking this morning about the fact I was feeling at peace. I actually noticed it yesterday and I felt it again this morning. I got up feeling at peace with myself. And I thought that was a great feeling. And that's the second night that I've slept particularly well. I think I got up once during the night, which is very unusual for me. I normally get up at least 2 times, if not 3. And so that means I slept well. And I'm believed that I'm sleeping well because I'm at peace, not I'm at peace because I'm sleeping better. I don't think there's as much going on in my head, so that when I turn over and go to sleep, my brain's not up all night trying to process stuff, which I believe it does. I've always described that process as, I sort of see that I've got this librarian in my head, call him Jones, and Jones's job is that when I go to sleep at night, his job is to rush around my head and pick up all the loose bits that I got all day and file them away into, it's sort of like chuck it or file it, Jones. And he will hang on to stuff that he thinks I might need again, and he will discard stuff that maybe I don't. And in fact, he's not very good about throwing stuff away. I think Jones is inclined to be a bit like me and hang on to stuff. And so the reason I'm mentioning that is because if I'm not flooding Jones during the day, he doesn't get overwhelmed at night. Maybe that'll help some people understand it, right? I haven't filled up his in tray too much during the day, so filing becomes easy to do for him. Can you see that picture? I always think if you can see the picture, it makes it easier to understand. And so I look at it and go, light off, there you go, Jones, your time. And I think that's part of the reason why they say we need enough sleep. We need enough sleep for our bodies to recharge. We need enough sleep for Jones to do his job. Now, I'm not sure what enough sleep is for you, and you're all capable of checking the internet to find out what average people do. Well, I'm not average, and neither are you. And so you have to make up your own mind. And I'm pretty sure you might want to give me some feedback on that. What is the right amount of sleep for you? And does it change at the weekends? I know that there are a lot of people who have an absolute routine. They sleep exactly the same amount of hours during the week as they do during the weekend. And then there are people like myself who sleep this many hours during the week and then this many hours at the weekend. And so I think as long as it works for you, who cares? You know, if you actually feel good on it, do it your way. As long as you are aware. So I noticed that when I was under a lot of stress last week, I was trying to get more sleep. I did actually make a point of turning off that light just that much earlier and trying not to drink too much, just, you know, in the couple of hours before I went to sleep. Manon, if you're listening to this, I did mean fuzzy water, as we call it in my house. Carbonated water, not vodka. Manon is convinced I drink vodka. I love her. So, you know, when you look at it, you can see that I planned to try and get more sleep when I was under high stress. And I wonder if any of you do that. When you realize, okay, I'm under high stress. Now, it goes against the natural instinct, because if you're highly stressed, you're more likely to not be able to sleep. Or that's what people think. And so they say all sorts of things like turn off all your screens, you know, turn off your television, your computer, your cell phone, when I want to sleep, I don't know, when I want to sleep, I turn on CNN. I turn on CNN and snuggle down and listen with my bad ear. You know, I've got one ear that works better than the other. Oh, I wanted to show you the makeup today. I think that's the Estee Lauder I put on this morning. Anyway, so so what I do is I sort of snuggle up and listen with this ear, and this ear only has about 50% hearing in it. And then I put my television on automatic, turn itself off in 90 minutes. I find that works really well for me. Now, if I keep my computer on, and you understand it's just a heartbeat away from me anyway, but if I keep looking at the computer, no, I won't sleep. So I turn my back on the computer, and then I snuggle up with my little warm blankie, and I'm asleep in minutes, because that's my routine. And I believe that that's a good thing to do, which is have a routine. So your body knows when you do these actions, this is time for you to shut down and go to sleep. Okay. Now, when I was getting dressed this morning, there was more horrific news. Now, first of all, they still haven't found any trace of that plane that went down in Malaysia. Unheard of. That there's absolutely no trace. And now they're beginning to suspect that maybe the Malaysian government didn't know what the heck they were doing. Or, you know, whatever. So in other words, there is not a lot of trust in their ability to find this plane. And a lot of call for the Americans to go in with all their stuff. So chaotic is it that I believe the Taiwanese have actually pulled out of the search because it's a waste of their time at the moment. Now that's pretty indicative that there's a problem. So my heart goes out to anybody who has any family either directly or indirectly affected by this. and you know that. But if that wasn't bad enough this morning, then I heard about the building in Manhattan that blew up this morning, and the building next to it that's on fire. And again, my heart goes out to any of you that might have any family or friends that are affected by that. You know, when you hear there was an explosion and they believe it was a gas explosion, and that there's no sign of anybody in that building. I mean, that building disintegrated. Actually, it's not true that there's no sign. They have found survivors. I believe that at the moment they're saying one dead that they can confirm. So here's the reason I'm talking about it. One of the things I've noticed over the past year or so, or however long we've been doing this, is I seem to attract, and thank goodness I do, and I thank you all for being the viewers you are, but I seem to attract a lot of people who are survivors, either of physical or mental trauma. And the reason I started thinking about that this morning was when I heard this whole thing about the Manhattan building blowing up. I thought, gosh, I am so grateful. Now, you might think that's a really strange reaction. Obviously, my heart sank in the moment that I heard, but as fast as I heard it, my next thought was, I am so grateful, A, that I'm not in Manhattan and in that building, and B, that I don't know anybody who's in Manhattan, and therefore I hopefully don't know anybody that's in that building. So as fast as I hear the bad news, I replace it with gratitude. And I know that we also have a lot of young people who view the vlogs, and younger people who view the vlogs. And I thought maybe it's time for us to start sharing some of our techniques. So what I wanted to ask those of you who seem to cope fairly well with things, now none of us is perfect, I understand that, but for those of us who appear to cope fairly well, what is your thought process when you hear something devastating? A plane that's gone down in Malaysia, a building disintegrated in Manhattan. What goes through your mind, and how does it affect you? You know, what is your, I guess, cognitive process is what I want to say. You know, how do you reframe the information so that it does not overwhelm you? Because we know, for as many of us that hear that information and don't get sucked into it emotionally, are sad to hear the news but grateful that we're not part of it, we almost stand outside the problem and look at it as a viewer. Now, I know without a doubt that there have been incidents in my life where I could not stand outside it and I was sucked into it. Funny enough, the death of Princess Diana affected me really badly for some reason. I'm still not 100% sure why. But I really got sucked into that emotionally. And it took me quite a while to stand outside and look back in again. So I thought if we could start talking about the different ways in which you do it. And I was thinking, you know, there are so many of my viewers that are survivors of various things. Therefore, to be a survivor, you have to have learned coping mechanisms through very bad stuff that affected you, probably. And then, therefore, you have coping mechanisms for when you hear bad news happening to other people. So, how about that? I wanted to thank, talking about yesterday's vlog, where I was having a little rant about the cost of going out to eat. And it struck me afterwards that some of you might have heard that and thought that I was a what was it? I'll think of the word. Anyway, that I wasn't grateful to be going out and having a fun meal and doing the poutine experiment. Nikki wrote to me and she said that she has noticed that to go out to dinner costs her about half of a weekly grocery budget. Wow. To go, and we're not talking fancy restaurant here, we're talking, just family restaurant type stuff. And she says it costs her approximately half of her weekly food budget. And so for those people who are on a limited income, which a lot of people are, that is a big expense. However, I was also thinking that should not stop you from actually treating yourself to a meal out. And as you know, that we've tried to make a fun experiment, for example, of doing poutine testing. Because it's not an expensive thing to buy, but it also gives you a memory. And we're probably going to run out of places to go and check out the poutine in any minute now. And we have considered making our own to see how that stacks up. So we'll have to try that before Laurie goes. But what I was going to say was that, even though it costs you half of your grocery budget, plan to go out, save to go out occasionally. Just because life becomes more interesting. I know the word I was looking for before. Resent. What I want to say is don't resent that money. Don't resent that it's going to cost you half of your budget, because save for it so that it doesn't affect your grocery budget. Or, as you know, I put away 10% of my income every month, and any extra money, they all go into a different account. And so when I want to go out to dinner, that's my play money account. I say play money, but it's not my day-to-day money. You know that, right? We've discussed that before. And so I never resent going out because I've already got the money for it, right? I save it all the time. I also spend it all the time as well. But you understand what I'm saying. It doesn't come out of my day-to-day budget. It comes out of my discretionary income, if you like, budget. And that's why I really enjoy it. And it was funny because I really thanked Yvonne for letting us know that they had poutine at the White Spot, because I really didn't know. And somebody said to me, how did you rate it? And they said A, B, C, D, whatever. And I went A for awesome. It really was awesome. And I was saying to Yvonne when I was talking to her about it last night, I found out they do a bigger portion. Not a good thing for my weight, but very good thing otherwise. So it was funny because I asked Laurie what did she want for her birthday meal, because I cook a nice meal once a week, a really nice meal, and it's her week because it's her birthday. So she said, I want some of that beef that we had a while back that tasted completely different. Well, that was the seriously aged Angus beef. And luckily, when it was on sale, I bought a big cut of it and cut it in half. No, I didn't. I lie. I bought 2 lots of it at the time because it was on such a good sale. It was about half price. And so luckily I still have some in the freezer. Yay! So it's roast beef and Yorkshire pudding this weekend. Now, Laurie was away last night. She having dinner with a family member. And I decided to cook myself a couple of small lamb chops. I love lamb chops, I must admit. Oops. Those are, you know, I hate people that when you're indicating that you obviously need to go left, they just accelerate to make sure you can't. It's like, karma! Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. You are not going to spoil my day. I have a great day planned. Well, I don't, but I intend to have a great day. So I had lamb and mint sauce, homemade mint sauce, and that really is very easy to do. It's just I just take some balsamic vinegar, a little bit of sugar, and mint leaves, dried, dehydrated mint leaves, and you just shake all that up in instant mint sauce. I also put a bit of that in the gravy, and I had mashed potatoes and fresh beans. Yum. Very nice. Now, it was very good. I took a little container out and made sure that I just had 1 cup of mashed potato and 1 cup of beans. And then I had, instead of 4 pork chops, I just had 2. Now, by the time you've taken pork, what am I talking about? It wasn't pork, it was lamb. And lamb chops are not big to start with, you know that. So by the time I'd taken the meat off the lamb chop, it was just a couple of bites. But, oh, it tasted good. It's funny, I found that people in North America don't enjoy lamb as much because they haven't had it as much. And yet you talk to any Brit or anybody in New Zealand or Australia, or, you know, we grew up eating lamb. I mean, a lamb was a staple part of our diet. So, and what surprised me was that goat meat tastes a lot like lamb. So if ever you wondered what goat meat tastes like, my experience was it tastes a lot like lamb. In fact, I threw mint sauce over it the second time I had it. Yum yum. Of course, I think anything with mint sauce over it is really good. Same as I think anything with Yorkshire pudding attached to it is really good. So, today I'm asking for some feedback. I'm getting attacked by a bus. And the feedback is, what do you do if you cope well, if you consider yourself somebody who copes fairly well with stuff and with trauma? Then let us know what you do. And if you're not aware of what you do, start thinking about it so we can share it. Okay? So you hear really bad news, plane went down. What's your next thought? How do you obviously don't get sucked into it. So what is your thought process that brings you out of that getting sucked in? So that we can help a lot of people start practicing how not to do that get sucked in thing. I love that noise. Why do I love that noise? Because I can do it. Are you practicing? I know some of you trying now. Let me think. How do I do it? Okay, tongue. Tongue at the top of the roof of my mouth. And then I breathe in. Like, I don't know. I'm not quite sure how I do that. I have no idea. Oh, Lord. The things that amuse me. I've really never thought about how I make that noise before. And it actually is quite funny. All right, so how do you not get sick? I'm never going to be able to make that noise again and not laugh. Oh, look at that. I can turn. So let us have your feedback so we can help other people who maybe don't handle stuff as easily. And the reason they don't handle as easily is probably they've never been taught. I think part of the problem in life is we don't teach coping skills enough. I mean, yeah, I understand the need for history and arithmetic and science and da-da-da-da-da-da, but hello, why don't we teach coping? And how to sell yourself and stuff like that. I really believe that in today's world, coping mechanisms should be a major the coffee nearly went over. Okay, I know some of you are going, that would have been a doofus moment. I'm glad to tell you that it didn't happen. And some of you are wondering, why haven't you moved it, Sal? Oh, come on, live dangerously. I've just seen part of this complex, and it's a very big complex. Part of this complex has a wire cage around the dumpsters. And somebody decided to actually just break down the wire cage because they wanted to put stuff in. People amaze me sometimes, you know. Really do. Okay, so everybody, here's hoping you have a wonderful day. And that life treats you well, and if it doesn't, I hope that you have the coping mechanisms to be able to cope. This is Dear Mama Sal saying bye-bye for now.